And welcome to the Plastic Crack Show. This time around we've got the Teen Titans Go Raven 6-inch articulated figure. So we'll quickly go around the front of it. So of course we have this, it's a carded figure, so obviously like most carded figures, we've got a nice colourful card in the background, got the Teen Titans Go logo on it, has the age specification being 4+, has the wonderful sort of cells down the side of all the different Titan figures. Obviously tells you that it comes with the ancient spell books, and then of course it's Raven, and obviously down the bottom it has small parts, not suitable for children under the age of 3. So we'll zip around the card to the back, because again we get this nice cartoony look of Raven, and of course a little blur that of course says Raven is a sarcastic deadpan demon girl who'd rather be left alone. Again we get a reprint of the cell look from the front, and again licensing down the bottom to say of course it's DC Warner Brothers. One of the things that's annoying me, and it seems to be a big trend in Australia if nowhere else at the moment, is import distributors sticking their own bloody stickers on the back. So in this case it's we won't name the brand, but I'm sure we can all see it in the camera, and this is a sticker that's been put on. So for a collector who wanted to keep this figurine in its card, this devalues it. This is a big annoyance. And certainly for collectors this would drive them to say a place like America where they're not as likely to stick a nasty big import company logo sticker on the back of it. But of course unfortunately we're not going to keep Raven on her card. We're going to take Raven off her card because it wouldn't be a review if we just saw her on her card. So without further ado we will gently lift Raven off her card. Because we're not worried about keeping the card because she's going to go into a display case, and the price point on these figures are quite low. They're only about a $15 price point, so you can always afford to buy one to display out of its card and one to display in its card, and it's not such a big issue. So of course like all wonderful figurines it comes just in a standard little clamshell, and of course first things first, let's get out the Book of Spells, the Ancient Legends. We get a bit closer so you can see it. So this is a plastic book, has a nice little bit of print on the front, Ancient Legends. On the back of course has a a bit more of a print. On the side of course it's got the DC logo embossed on it, if you can see that. So it's very cool. So now we'll pop Raven out. And as always, I make it as tight a fit as humanly possible, just to make life difficult.
It's just got elastic bands.
And a few little elastic bands around the legs just to hold her in place. What have we got going on here? Interesting. So there's Raven out of the box. Let's see if we can't get Raven to stand. There's the first big headache with Raven out of the box. So this is a certainly straight up I'd say if you're buying this figurine leave it carded, because Raven won't only stand because her head is so top heavy, all her joints are extremely loose. She's like a rag doll. Now whether that's just mine, and overall the quality of this build once it's out of the box is actually quite disappointing. We'll go through it quickly in a moment. But the first things first, obviously Raven just will not stand. She is as rickety as all hell. So of course there's a few interesting pieces here. So this is a cloth cape, so the cape is cloth, which is of course a very cool feature. Unfortunately, they've studded it through to her hands, and the finish on the cloth is really, really ratty. I mean, let's just get this a bit closer so you can sort of see it. You'll see along here where the seams aren't stitched. The seams just aren't stitched, so it just has a really ratty finish. And because they've, again, get it in camera, they've studded the hands here, these studs don't come off. Yes, they do. They clip off. So you can unclip it, but again, the arm is as floppy as all buggery. And again, you can unclip this side, try and get it in camera, and again, the same problem. The arm is flippy and floppy, but a lot of articulation in it, but it's almost a bit tight going up. Like that's the limit going up, and there seems to be something in the back. Well, so that's interesting. So there's no instructions on this to tell you what's going on, you just have to guess. So on her back, if we can get it on camera, there is a little button right there, and when you press that button, her arms fly up. So there is a spring system in it. As for her actual arms, there is a very sloppy ball joint in the elbow. There is a very tight joint in the wrist, which is not a bad feature. There is some very awesome articulations in the legs. In fact, she can pretty much do the splits. The knees, however, that knee is as tight as hell, and it's a very dodgy fit. If you have a look here, let's see if we can get in camera again, the pin's not secured properly, so I'm going to have to actually re-pin that. So it's not actually pinned correctly. So that will need to be re-pinned. There's no articulation in the... There is a little bit, sorry. A little bit of articulation in the legs, but it's only a basic swivel. This knee, again, very little articulation. You can get a 90 degree. Obviously the foot swivels, but very tight in the knees, very loose in the hips. The head has articulation. Oops, sorry. So full 360 articulation. There's a few other issues. There's a big hole in the top of Raven's head. What that's for, I do not know. It almost looks like it was designed for a keychain. And of course the seam running down the hood is quite predominant. You can see it's quite predominant. So for a $15 figure, it's actually a bit of a letdown. You would almost imagine that it could have been a $5 or $10 figure considering the finish on it. And the other big headache is, of course, she's got an ancient book of spells, but there's nowhere for her to hold it unless she's going to sit on it. And that's probably all that's going to happen, is she's going to sit on it, and even then, because of basically how heavy her head is, she's not going to sit on it very well. So that was the Teen Titans Go Raven in the 6-inch articulated figure. Who actually makes this, I wonder? Because they really need to learn how to make figures. Jazwares! Yay! The people who make really terrible Star Wars stuff as well. So that was the Jazwares Teen Titans Go Raven 6-inch figure. I was your host, Lee. This was, of course, the Plastic Crack Show. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to rate, subscribe, and leave a message. We will see you next time.